Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today we're going to take a look at Vivaldi Web Browser. And this is in response to Analytic Minded, who left a comment saying you should do a review of Vivaldi. It's getting a bad rap lately, but it's a pretty good browser. Yes, it's not 100% open source, however, it's still free to use, and it's highly customizable. Some people are just too rigid in their rules and outlook. I won't name them here. You know what? That got me to thinking, yes, why not take a look at Vivaldi? I used to use Vivaldi a few years back, and I always thought it was a really nice browser and used it for quite a while, alongside Firefox and Chromium. And somewhere along the way, Vivaldi just kind of faded away from my usage, and I don't even remember why, which is probably a sign that whatever the reason was, wasn't really all that earth-shattering. Otherwise, I'd remember. So anyways, here I am out at the Vivaldi website, and let's just take a quick look at some of the features that are available in Vivaldi right now. So since I used Vivaldi last, I think I was probably last using it back when it was in the 3-point-something stage, and it had a lot of features then, but now it looks like it has even more. And so they're also using the grouping feature in tabs, which I believe is part of Chrome, and Vivaldi is actually based on Chrome. Part of the big rap with Vivaldi is that it's not totally open source, but it is free to use, as Analytic Minded pointed out. So that part is good, and when you think about it, really, pretty much everything out there has a price for free. What I mean by that is, for example, in Firefox and Chrome, you're being tracked on your usage and so forth. And so these guys got to pay the bill somehow. So what they'll do is they'll collect information, not necessarily personal information, but maybe browser habit and other type of information that help advertisers get more targeted ads in front of you when you're browsing. And of course, that's one way to kind of generate revenue, and not a bad thing. Now, Vivaldi takes a slightly different approach, and so I'm going to get to that in a minute, but let's take a look at their website here. So aside from tabs, they also have a built-in ad and tracker blocker, which is nice. And then here, they're kind of pointing out how customizable the browser is, because literally you could just customize the browser any way you like, which is great. And so these are the default bookmarks that you have on your start page when you start up Vivaldi, if I remember right. A couple reviews here, one by Wired, that looks like they gave them a great review. You're probably not using the web's best browser. And that could be true. So what makes Vivaldi different? Well, here's some of their features. More features, not less. So instead of being minimalistic, they have a lot more things in there. And one thing they have are I remember they have an email client built in. Let's take a look at what they got to say here. So you spend a lot of time in your browser, it should do everything you need right out of the box. Vivaldi comes with built-in features like notes, screen capture, image properties, and a lot more. Yeah, that's true. And the notes, I believe, if you sync your Vivaldi with your phone and have Vivaldi on there, I believe that'll sync those notes right over to the Notes app that's on your phone, which is pretty cool. And so then it goes on to say that everything's an option. We want Vivaldi to work for anyone. So we give you options, lots and lots of options. You choose how Vivaldi works, what features you use, and how it looks. This is your browser after all. And there are no rules. I like no rules. How your browser works is up to you. There's multiple ways to access and control things in Vivaldi. Play around and find out what works for you. And geeking out is the way. So then, of course, they go on to point out that tweaking software is fun, and you can get it just right for the way you like it. And then they go on to show that built-in features here, what's available in each browser here, and tab grouping in Chrome and Vivaldi, not in Firefox, and then customized search engines available in Vivaldi as well as Firefox. Vivaldi doesn't track your behavior, however Chrome and Firefox do. And then we have view tabs and split screen. These are all exclusive to Vivaldi in this comparison. So view tabs and split screen actually sounds pretty cool. I like that. I'm going to have to check that out. A built-in mail client, which is nice. Ad blocker, mouse gestures, Notes Manager, and custom macros. Wow. So apparently you can use like keyboard shortcuts and stuff in there too. Nice. So Vivaldi is also available on Android, pointing out that privacy is not dead. And then, of course, they go on to say that their promise is that we don't know who you are, we never track you, and we never know what you do with Vivaldi. And we'd rather not know. And also Chrome extensions work with Vivaldi as well. So if you have that favorite Chrome extension out there, not to worry, you can use it in Vivaldi as well. And then of course they have their theming and looking at multiple pages at once. This is that split that I was just referring to. And that looks kind of cool. I like the idea that I can tile these windows and have two web pages open at the same time and just kind of look at them without having to switch back and forth in a tab. So I'm kind of excited to see that. I don't remember that feature back when I was using it. So it must be relatively new. And then the breakaway from big tech, built-in tools like Mail put you in control of your data and your workflow. I also think that's really cool. Even though I don't typically use a mail client, I like that, having it right there in the browser, and I could have all my email accounts right there in that client. It kind of makes me want to try it out. I kind of like the idea of having everything consolidated in one place, and here you can do it and just have it right in the tab of your browser. Don't even have to have an extra application opened up sucking down more resources. So that's pretty cool. I'm really liking that. And then of course they have a tab comparison here with Vivaldi and also with Chrome, Firefox, and Brave. And then if you're on a tablet, they also have it optimized for a larger screen so you can pop your tablet sideways and the browser actually looks good. So I think that's a big plus too. Definitely worth showing off. And then of course you can add a website in here as a panel. So that's pretty nice if you want a go-to place. And then they also go on to, even though Vivaldi's based on Chrome, they also claim that there's 3 things that work better in Vivaldi. So they got the cookie crumbler, so they'll crumble the cookies and keep those from invading too much. Custom keyboard shortcuts for everything. That's really nice. So then they go down here to the frequently asked questions, and I kind of like this here at the last one. Why aren't you selling all my personal data to the highest bidder? So I went on to go ahead and take a look at that. So if you follow that link, then they have a really nice explanation here on how they actually finance their browser compared to, say, Firefox. And so in here I'll just kind of read this real quick. Browsers have different sources of income. Some use your data in ad networks, push promoted content, or use some other invasive methods to fund their development. But we don't. Here's how we make the money we need to keep doing what we're doing. Many businesses today, including browsers, are built on the data collection model. And it's hard to imagine that companies can survive without selling personal data to advertisers and publishers. Yet at Vivaldi, we don't track or profile you, nor do we collect usage data. In fact, we believe that the unnecessary collection of data is dangerous and no place in your browser. We only try to have a general overview of how many users we have, what OS they run, and where in the world they are, taken as a whole. We make the browser, but how you use it and who you are, your interests, income, personality, is none of our business. Really, it's our job and responsibility to protect your data. So that's sounding pretty good so far. We build Vivaldi with passion and pride for you. And we're not in this to make money like all businesses. We need to make a living and pay the bills to keep doing what we do in an ethical way. So that sounds pretty logical to me. So let's find out where our revenue comes from. And so what they do is they do partner deals with search engines. So Vivaldi generates revenue from partner deals with search engines. Every time you search using one of the pre-installed search engines, you're helping us grow, one search at a time. Currently, we work with DuckDuckGo, Ecosia, StartPage, Yahoo, Bing, and Yandex. The only exception is Google. We don't make money when you search with Google. However, we know that some of you use this search engine daily, so we include it in Vivaldi. If you need reasons to switch to a new search engine, take a look at why, and our choice of search engine matters. And then they go on to show partner deals with bookmark partners. So this is another way that they generate revenue. So they have bookmark partners such as eBay, Amazon, TripAdvisor, Kayak, and so forth. So what that means is when somebody clicks on one of these bookmarks, let's say I click on one of these and go out to Amazon or eBay, then I believe probably what happens is they get a referral fee for the traffic, and so they're compensated by these companies every time someone clicks on one of those customized bookmarks. And so when it comes to the proprietary part of the code in Vivaldi, I would speculate, and I'm only speculating because I don't have a clue, but I would speculate that the proprietary part of the code probably has a lot to do with communicating with the APIs for these partner setups with eBay and so forth on these bookmarks, and probably also with the search engines. When you use the search engines, I'm sure they're getting some type of referral or usage fee from these search engine companies as well. And so I would guess that probably the code that's proprietary is probably kind of related to that. However, you know, like some people have pointed out, proprietary, if you can't look at it, you really don't know what's there. So that's something, if you're paranoid enough, you probably will want to consider that. So anyway, they go on to point out that the shared revenue from bookmark partners, every time you use them, they get a small amount that helps us build an even stronger Vivaldi. And that said, you're free to replace any of these pre-installed bookmarks with your own, or you could keep both, as long as what we offer is useful to you. Note that we may add bookmarks even if we don't receive revenue. If we think they'd be valuable to you, we'll include them anyway. And finally, they conclude with Vivaldi's webmail and other services. So the foundation of Vivaldi is all about giving back to our community. The partner search and bookmark deals not only make it possible for us to build and provide the Vivaldi browser for free, they also let us support more services free of charge. Currently, the ad-free webmail and blogs. Also with Vivaldi, they point out that Vivaldi Webmail, you get your own @vivaldi.net email account hosted in Iceland. Pretty cool. Our ad-free blogging platform is a great tool to publish and share your ideas. We don't have a business model attached to the webmail and blogs, and this will remain the same in the future. These services are made possible by the partnerships, affiliations, and revenue that we make from the browser. What helps us grow Vivaldi? It's simple. Browse with Vivaldi and support our partners. And tell your friends. The more people that use the browser, the better. And then, of course, it concludes with, thanks for using Vivaldi. Well, you're welcome. I think I'll download it. So I'm going to go ahead and download this real quick. To download Vivaldi, for the desktop, of course, you can use your favorite package manager to download it, or you can just click on the download link on the Vivaldi homepage and grab it and install it, and you're good to go. Good for Windows, Mac, and I believe Vivaldi was created for Windows first, and then they created it for Mac, and then it came out for Linux, and now I believe it's also available on Android. Okay, I'll be right back after the download. Let's check it out. Okay, so I got Vivaldi installed now, and I am in my welcome page. And on our welcome page, we got our essentials, our classic, and our fully loaded options here. So our essentials here is our minimalistic setup. So if you only want kind of the bare minimum stuff here, like anti-tracking, ad blocking, and translations, then essentials is a good way to go. Otherwise, we have classic over here. And if I hit that, then in addition to the previous three, you also get panels, status bar, and your fast forward rewind feature. So cool. And I think that's referring to history, I think, fast forwarding and rewinding towards history. And I do have some history on this browser right now because I am recording this video for the second time because I screwed up the first one. So I'm having to re-record it. So yes, I'm a putz. So anyways, that's our classic. And then if you want the addition of a mail calendar and feeds, we can go ahead and click over here, and then all this other stuff will be added in. And so we got an addition of our mail client over here and feeds. If you want to look at the data feeds from, say, a blog and so forth, a lot of websites have data feeds. And then of course our calendar feature, which is pretty cool. And the calendar, I think, is right in here somewhere. Right there. So calendar is a nice feature too. Here you can set up appointments and other kind of things by day or by week. And of course you can stretch that out and make it a lot bigger if you want. And here you can select down in your calendar to get more specific. So really cool. And then an agenda tab. Very nice. So those are nice additions. And in fact, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to go with fully loaded. And then I'm going to continue. And then here we got options where we can add in to block tracking and ads and so forth. I'm just going to go with the default there with the trackers. I think actually the default is no blocking, but I had originally set to trackers. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And then here's some 3 setups. Want to get the most out of your new browser? Here are 3 popular features that you can try right away. And then Vivaldi.com will show you a little overview of other things. But we got notes, web panels, and tab tiling. Tab tiling looks particularly interesting as well. And if we hit those, what it does is it takes us over to an information page. This is also available over here on our side panel, where you have our help.vivaldi.com, and that'll also take you to an area. But this is specifically for tab tiling. So that's nice to have. I think I'll just keep that open. And then here's our start page where we have our different bookmarks by default. And this is kind of what I was referring to earlier, where you have your different bookmarks where Vivaldi project is supported by clicking on these, and then they get a referral for the traffic that comes over to their website in here. So every time I click on, say, YouTube, and I go out to YouTube, then Vivaldi will get some kind of referral payment from YouTube for my traffic. So that's kind of nice. And of course, if I want to turn this panel off, all I got to do is go down here in the lower left-hand corner and click that little button, and that'll shut the panel off. And also, if I hit it again, it'll turn it back on. And then here's our bookmarks. So that's kind of what's in there by default. And we even have a trash can for our bookmarks. Very cool. So, all right, what else do we got here? So back at our welcome page, I'm going to go ahead and hit finish here. And so now it's taken us to, again, a default. And this is the default page that you see when you open a new tab. So every time I open a new tab, I'm going to see these bookmarks here. And of course, you can add and remove these guys to your content. And you can also take these and kind of switch them around. So if you like having these in a different order, maybe you refer to these a lot. And so if you want your favorites up on top, easy peasy. And even a link to Vivaldi game. Cool. I'm gonna look. Click to play. All right, I'll click. Nice. So apparently Vivaldi has their own video game. That's kind of cool. Wow. So I have no idea, but it kind of looks like a 2D platform game. So if I hit my arrow keys, I can go back and forth. Hit my up, bounce. Cool. This can't go anywhere. I guess I gotta hit my space key to start. Nice. So yeah, who'd have thought there'd be a game in here related to Vivaldi? Something I totally didn't expect. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my back, and yeah, that'll give me something to waste my time with later. Nice. So those are the bookmarks. I like that. So that's a nice feature, very nicely set up. And here you can see on our search engine is set for Quant. Now originally that was defaulting to Bing, but I had changed that in my previous video that I screwed up. So I'm going to show you real quick. We might as well start there. So let's jump into our settings. And in fact, I'll just jump ahead here. Now by default, it was set up, Bing was the first guy here on our list, and it was set as the default search engine. So when you open up Vivaldi, this is what you're going to see up here in your search side is Bing. So that is the default search engine, just FYI. And then the other choices in here for your search, you can simply choose. Now Quant is something that I added in. That was not in there originally. So that was something I put in there because I wanted to show that you can put in your own search engine as well, your own preference. And Quant is something that I happen to like. So I added Quant in here just by typing the name. And to add in your own search engine, just hit the plus button right here, add search engine, and it'll bring up this window and it'll be blank. And just go ahead and type in a name, a nickname if you like, and then the URL of Quant. And you can also put in a suggest. And if you want that as default, just check that box and then it'll show up here. So that's how Quant ended up there. That was my own thing. So I thought I should kind of get that out of the way right off the bat. And then, of course, for your private window search engine, if you want Quant in there as well, you can just go over here and select it. Or you can put something else in there. And this is, or Google if you want Google in there for private. So anyways, that's how that works. So if we jump back up here to general, we have our different settings here. And these are like our general browser settings. So Here's where you can set your home page, and right now it's set at a specific page. If you click start page, I think it's going to put it on this guy here, I think is what that would mean. And I need to hit the settings thing here when we go back into settings if I go back out. So I'm going to go back to specific page. I think for now Vivaldi's fine for the sake of the thing in here. Otherwise, I would probably just put something else in there like a search engine or YouTube maybe. And then to start with last session, that's a good default. That's kind of where I would want it. That way every time you start up your browser, you can pick up where you left off. But if you want to start fresh every time, then I would probably choose one of those other options and maybe uncheck the restored tabs. And then here's where you can turn on and off your confirmations when you close your browser. Got your language settings and all that other good stuff. And then here's where you can kind of tweak your appearance. And again, tons of options here for tweaking the appearance. And here, this is kind of notable. Some people don't know where the menu is right off the bat. And back when I used Vivaldi, I couldn't find the menu either. I had to Google it, and this was like a couple years ago. But so if you're in here and you got the panel turned off and you want a menu settings or you want to get it somewhere, right here in your upper left corner, you got this menu button. And so here you got access to your menu, file, edit, view, your bookmarks, tools, window, all this stuff, plus your settings. Now, if you like a more traditional looking menu, you can select horizontal here, and then it's going to give you a menu up here, your file, edit, view, bookmarks, and so forth, right up here. So that's how you get that. And if you like the other way, this is going to take a little bit more real estate up here on the top of your browser. So that's kind of the trade-off for getting a traditional menu. So if you want to go back to the button, just hit this, and then it'll free up that space. And all you got to do is remember that this button is your menu. Also, if you want to make it more obvious that that's a menu, you can switch the icon style here from the Vivaldi icon to a more traditional burger menu, which is the menu icon. And then you got this guy, and that probably looks more familiar, especially if you're using Chrome and or Firefox, or a lot of other apps for that matter. So that'll kind of give you the more traditional, and that might be a little more easier to relate to remember that that's a menu if you want to not have it in a horizontal mode. So there you go on that. Also, you can customize your button menu right here, and you can switch things around and add stuff and all that other good stuff. So yeah, it is really customizable. And then here we have our themes, and I had switched our theme to a dark theme by default. It was using this theme. And so this is where we were before, and I think the background for this tab page was Aurora Light. So originally it looked like this if you opened up your Vivaldi browser and you were on a blank page. And of course this was at Bing. So this is where you change the look. So again, if I jump into my settings here under themes, I think I went with dark here because I kind of like the purple and black. That's kind of nice. And then for my background, I went with Aurora Dark. You can also use any of these other pictures, but to me, they were just a little bit kind of busy. But everybody has their own taste, so, you know, whatever works for you. And that doesn't look too shabby right there, actually. Pretty good. And then the dark theme. And then for our start page settings here, show on internal pages, hide tiles, and all that. Show fave icons, I believe that would be in your tabs here. So if I turn that off, oh, actually that's for the start page. Okay. So in our bookmarks here, we have our titles here, and then these are the fave icons. So if you turn off the fave icons, they disappear from the title. And also with your titles, you can choose to show your title on hover. So if you click that, the titles will disappear. And then when you hover over it, you can see the titles pop up as you hover. So that's kind of cool. Or you can hide titles altogether. And then our delete, thumbnail, and add buttons. Those are the buttons that show up when you hover over and you see the add, the refresh, and the delete button here. So if you take those and uncheck those, then you won't see any of that when you hover over. So those are more options you can have. And then allow drag and drop reordering. Right now we can reorder these guys any way we want. But if for some reason you said, I don't want those moved, there's too many people in my family that move things around, you can come in here and uncheck that, and then they won't move. And they'll do things like that. Then we have our tab settings, so you can set your tabs anywhere. You can have them on top, you can have them over to the left, to the right, and at the bottom. Very cool. And then here we can set our new tab. Right now, new tab is by default going to open the start page here with the buttons on it. But if you want it to go somewhere else, like a home page or just a blank page, you would just select one of these options. And then when you open a new tab, it's going to go to a home page or a specific page if you want a new tab to always open at a specific place. So that's how that works. Then we have our tab features and all this tab stacked options, pin tabs, and tab audio. So yes, very cool. And then here we have our panel settings. So our panel position by default is over here on the left side. We can also have it over on the right side, move it over there. Personally, I like it on the left side. You can show the panel toggle, which is this guy. And so you can kind of hide the panel using this if you like that better than just coming down here. So that's another option. You can show that. By default, that's turned off. You can have the panel floating so the whole web page kind of goes behind the panel. You can show the counters. So if you turn that on and off, I believe the counters kind of show you how many times or how many items that you got in each category. So we have 9 bookmarks in there. And then lazy load and detect page tile notifications. Contacts panel. So we have settings for our notes panel, our window panel, and our contact panel. So that's kind of cool. Next we got our address bar settings. And so address bar position is on top by default. You can move it down to the bottom if you want. That's a little more original, kind of cool. You can show the full address. So if you're out at a site here, and let's say we're here at helpvivaldi.com and you want to do show address, if you hit that, it'll show you the HTTPS : all that. So if you like seeing that in there instead, you can just check that box and it'll show the full address. QR code generator, that's always cool. Open address in a new tab, that's our keyboard setting for that. Autocomplete. Typically I would leave most of these things right on their default settings there. And then our bookmarks, again, I would probably go with default settings. And again, we can also put our bookmark bar. So if you want to show the bookmark bar, just check that box there and your bookmark bar will show up right up here. And then of course you can have that on the bottom as well by clicking that. And then here's our features if you want to show text and icon or only text or just icons or a bookmark icon only. So by default it's text and icons, and just got to rearrange myself here. My kitty's in my lap. So yeah, he keeps me warm, but he gets a little heavy sometimes. So anyways, oh, and his name is Peter, by the way. So yes. Then we have our quick commands. So these are quick commands that can give us a quick access to like a calculator. Kind of cool. Bookmarks, notes, browsing history, extensions, limit number of visible search results. So it says if you use Control-E or F2 shortcuts and then press down or up keys with an Alt modifier to skip next search, press right key to autocomplete. So yeah, maybe I'll try that. Control-E or F2. So I'm going to go in here, hit Control-E, and wow, very cool. So quick access here to start page settings. If I hit F2, same thing, and left arrow key, or right arrow key, I mean. We got status bar, and I do something like 55 divided by 2. It'll give me an answer right away, 27.5. Whoops, I jumped out of it. So that's kind of neat. Or 29 times 88, and it's 2552. Very cool. But don't press enter because it'll disappear. So the answer actually just shows up automatically. And so 78 divided by 6 is 13. I knew that, but I wanted to see if it knew that, and it does. So there you go. That's pretty cool. I like that. Really nice settings there. And so these are quick ways to get any of these. And the calculator thing was something I didn't even know about. And now we have our keyboard. This is where we can set our keyboard shortcuts, new windows and all that. And so we got all our defaults in here that we would kind of expect, but you can also set your own keyboard shortcuts. Like if you want to bring up notes quickly, maybe you do that a lot, you could make a shortcut for that, like, I don't know, Shift N or something. And then you're good to go. So this is where you set all your different shortcuts. And then if you really hosed your setup, then you can go in here and restore default keys and all your defaults will come back. And here's your mouse settings. And this is really cool. By default, allow gestures is on here. So right now, if you want to open a new tab, you would just right click your mouse and swoop down. So I'm here in my quant search engine, but I want to open a new tab. So I'll just right click my mouse, go down, and there's a new tab. Wow, that's awesome. And so what if I want to close that tab? Maybe I didn't really mean to open it. Well, then you can go here and select Close Tab, and it'll tell you to do an L. And if you regretted that decision, you wanted to reopen it, then you would just invert that half square or an L shape. So let's try it. So I'm in here and I'm like, I want to close the tab. So right click, do an L shape, and there you go, the tab is closed. But then I go, wait a minute, I didn't want to close it. Do an inverted L, and it'll open it back up again. And so, like if I was out at this gaming site for Vivaldi, and I closed it. Whoops, didn't want to close it. What was I thinking? Inverted L, and it's back. Nice. That's really cool. I like these gestures. That makes life easier. I kind of like that. You know, those are really cool. And then of course for history back, pretty intuitive. Simply swipe your mouse to the left, forward, swipe your mouse to the right, holding down the right click button. And then you got history back and history rewind and history forward. Then we have our search options where we just were. So yeah, that was all cool and how we did that before. So I really like that. And you can even have it set to search in a new tab. You can have it show the search engine icon. That's always good. Might as well add that in there. What the heck? And then our privacy settings. So here we can add and subtract any privacy settings. And if you decide you want to add in and block ads as well, you can go ahead and click here and it'll block both. And personally, I just block trackers, you know, but that's just me. Here's your cookie settings. By default, set accept all. Block incognito mode only. So nice. Then we have our download settings. And of course, it's got the standard downloads folder for default, but you can also set that anywhere you want. And if you don't want it to ask to save your file, you can click here and it'll just automatically save it without having to prompt you. And then of course, you can also have it update your default location when you use a save as. So if you want to save something to a specific place, it will make it automatically your default save place if you have that checked. Now these are our sync settings. So if you like to have your items synced and you want to sync it with your iPhone or with your Android or something like that, then here's the place to do it. Or any other device, a tablet, another computer, laptop. And then these are our web pages setting. And I would probably just pretty much keep all these on default too. I don't think there's anything in here I would probably change, but tons of options again. And here's your font settings. So if you need a bigger font, you can go in here and change it to something humongous like 24. But I think I'll stick with a 16. I think the default's good there. These are your mail settings. So if you decided not to set up an email account in the beginning, but later on you decided, I want to set up email, you can do it right here. And also I was mentioning near the beginning of the video that Vivaldi.net has their own email service. So you can also use a Vivaldi email. And to do that, just click on this little link down here. We have a selection of trusted email providers. And if you hit that, then it gives you a link here where you can sign up to Vivaldi.net. And they're hosted in Iceland, by the way. So all your information is packed away in cold storage, not preserved. So this is where you can do all that. And if you just go through the continue, I believe it will automatically detect your settings. For example, if you have a Gmail account or a Vivaldi account, and you pop it in there, there's most likely a database there that has your default settings. And so you won't really have to do any kind of manual setup at all. But if you do have a special situation where you need to add in your own ports and all that, you can hit manual setup and then it'll give you the type of connection security you need, your outgoing and incoming server settings. And by default, it's typically 993 and 465. But if you're on a non-standard port, this is a place where you can switch it all. Then of course your data feed settings. So if you want to see data feeds in here, you can do that. You can add news feeds. So a lot of options. And here's your calendar settings. So again, you can tie your calendar to like a local account. You can set up custom calendars and multiple calendars. So tons of options again. And then display all is simply everything we just went through, except it's all in one long page where you can just kind of scroll down and have a continuous look at all the pages, all the options in one shot. So that covers the settings. So what else can we do in here that's cool? Well, they have tab tiling, and tab tiling is really cool. I like this. You can go in here and, for example, let's say we want to look at this browser, but we also want to look at our, say, our start page at the same time. Excuse me. Just scared the crap out of my cat. Okay, so to do that, all we got to do is hold down our control key, or if you're on a Mac, it would be your command, and then click the tab, and our open page here is automatically selected because I had the tab clicked. Now we would just simply right click, or I had this tab open, and then tile two tabs is where we would want to, so just hit that. If we wanted to close both those tabs, then we would select close two tabs. So there we go, we got them both open. I'm going to close this sidebar here. And so now we got both tabs in one window. I really love that tiling feature. I think that's really cool. Never seen that before. So this is something new for me. So I can go over here and I can be like searching for something and still browsing over here and seeing what's going on. So maybe I'm watching a YouTube video or something, or whatever. I can keep this page open and monitoring, and at the same time I can be over here like going out to eBay and seeing what's new. And I think that's really cool. A very handy thing. Then of course, if you want to unlink these two tabs, because if I click on this, I'm going to still be in a split view, either one of these. But if I clicked on a different tab that's not linked, come over here and it's one page again. So if I want to unlink these two tabs, all I got to do is right click on one of these linked tabs, come down here, untile selection, and that'll put it back into a single window. And if you come over here, this is also untiled as well. So that is the tiling window. What a great feature. Another thing I like is their language setting. So if I came out here and I went to a foreign language website, let's say like Baidu.cn, Chinese website, come out here, and now we're at Baidu. So you can see it automatically translated for me. Now by default, it's not set up to automatically translate. If you go up here, you can see the little symbol here for Simplified Chinese. And if I hit that, we got a revert to Chinese Simplified. So I could actually go back to Chinese if I wanted to do that. And once I revert, we have an options button. And so if you hit options, here's where you can have it always translate Simplified Chinese. By default, that's unchecked, so it doesn't always translate. So in your browser, if you went out here, it would not translate, but it would bring you up this option here. So you could hit the translate button. But if you always refer to a foreign language website, let's say you're English speaking and you're going out to a Chinese website or a German website, Russian, what have you, this is always going to pop up. And so click that if you want it to always translate a certain language page. And then of course your other options that you had in here are always good too. Maybe you never want it to translate. Maybe never translate just this site. So yeah, and then maybe you don't want it to offer at all. So lots of options again, very flexible. Again, I would probably go with always on this for me. So there you go. So you get instant translate. So then if you go in here and you want to, I don't know if you can actually write anything in English though. Maybe you might be able to get away with pinyin. I don't know. But like, oh, hey, go, little black dog. Oh, whoops, spelled it wrong. There we go. And it kind of, yeah, it didn't really translate here. Maybe Baidu is kind of skirting some. Oh, there we go. Okay, just took a little time. Very cool. And so, yeah, it's got some loosely related results. I didn't think you could do pinyin in there, but it looks like you can halfway get away with it. Hey, go, yeah. Nice. So that's kind of cool. So then you can go ahead and click on a result, and instead of coming up in Chinese, it's gonna translate it for you so you can see what's going on in other places in the world and kind of understand where they're coming from. So what a great feature. This could open up a whole new universe if you want to explore other cultures. And it's taken a little bit of time to, kind of translate there. Although this could be skirting the translation engine, I don't know. But I would guess that that's probably a slow loading page, or my internet's kind of slow. But I have a feeling that's probably going to translate pretty soon. So that's another feature I really like here, is the instant access to the translation. There we go, now it's starting to come through. So slowly but surely, there we go. Yeah, so cool. Ooh, hot pot. Nothing finer than Beijing hot pot. Haven't had that in a while. So anyway, language settings. Another great option here in the Vivaldi browser. So there you have it. I think I covered all the main points that I wanted to cover with Vivaldi. And I got to tell you, Vivaldi is a fantastic browser. Again, it's something I used for a few years and don't even remember why I quit using it. I probably changed to a different distro and probably just didn't think to reinstall it. So whatever the reason, it must not have been any big deal because I'd remember if it was something that made me mad. So cool. And our toolbar here, I'm just gonna click that off here in this little thingy. And so what do I think? So with Vivaldi, I can understand why some people wouldn't like the fact that it's proprietary in nature, even though it's free to use. I guess if I was a little bit on the paranoid side, I might be afraid that something in that code could be nefarious, but I would think that if it was, somebody would have figured it out by now. Somebody would have caught on to something, I think. There's a lot of people out there that are pretty smart at catching that stuff, even in proprietary software. And my guess would be that the proprietary code is probably related more to maybe the APIs that are involved in linking and getting Vivaldi compensated for their partner links, bookmarks, and search engine results, search engine usage. So they're probably getting hooked up to some type of API for these partners. It probably has a lot more to do with the coding that interacts with those APIs than it does anything else. And that's only my guess. I'm only speculating, so I don't really know. But if I were going to make an educated guess, that would be my guess on it. So for me, I don't think it's really a big deal that Vivaldi is proprietary. It's still free, and it's a great browser, and it offers me features that I really can't get anywhere else that I know of. So I'm going to keep this on my computer, and I'm going to use it. I'm a rebel. So, yes. Would I recommend Vivaldi? Sure, why not? Like I said before, earlier in the video, there's a price for free. You know, everything has a price, and I think this is more in line with an affiliate model. And so they're kind of getting referrals for traffic to different websites. And to me, I like that even better than tracking my habits and then throwing ads at me that are related to where I've been. You know, sometimes that's convenient, but sometimes it's annoying. So I think that's a plus for Vivaldi. So heck yeah, I would definitely recommend this browser, and I also give it 2 thumbs up. So if you want to give it a try, why not download Vivaldi and just run it for yourself and see what you think. See how it works out for you. And if it doesn't work out, there's always the uninstall button. So never a problem. With that, I hope this review was helpful. And if it was, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.